Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take you through a deeply concerning and unprecedented issue unfolding in Iran, one that touches on environmental catastrophe, human survival, governance challenges, and the very future of one of the world's largest cities. What we're talking about is the dire water crisis in Tehran, a crisis so severe that Iran's president has publicly warned that it could ultimately force the evacuation of the capital city if immediate relief in the form of rainfall does not arrive soon. This is not just a local water shortage story. This is a crisis that exposes the intersection of climate change, resource mismanagement, demographic pressures, economic strain, and the fragility of urban infrastructure in an age where water scarcity is becoming a defining challenge for many nations. To understand the gravity of what's being discussed, we need to look at the facts. Iran is currently enduring one of the worst droughts in its recorded history. For multiple consecutive years, rainfall in Tehran and across large parts of the country has been dramatically below average. In Tehran specifically, precipitation has fallen roughly 40% below long-term seasonal norms, and reservoirs that historically provided reliable water supplies have plunged to alarmingly low levels. In some cases, key reservoirs that serve the capital have reached near-empty conditions, leaving authorities with dwindling reserves to serve a sprawling metropolitan area home to more than 10 million residents. Wikipedia The Express Tribune, in a series of statements that have captured international attention, President Masoud Pezeshkian has spoken candidly about the severity of this crisis. He has warned that if rains do not arrive by a critical deadline, initially projected for late November or early December, water rationing plans would be activated across Tehran. And beyond that, he made the striking point that if these rationing efforts fail to avert disaster, the government may ultimately be faced with the necessity of evacuating parts or even the entirety of Tehran. Anadolu Agency +1 Such a warning is almost unheard of for a city of this scale. We're not talking about a small rural town or a sparsely populated region. This is a megacity, a political and economic hub, an urban center that anchors a nation's identity. The idea of relocating its populace due to lack of water supplies is sobering, and it raises immediate questions about feasibility, logistics, and the social impacts of such a plan. To put the situation into context, Tehran's water system depends on a network of dams and reservoirs like Amir Kabir, Lar, Mamlu, Talkan, and Ladian that draw water from snowmelt and rainfall in the surrounding mountain ranges, but with consecutive years of drought, inflows to these reservoirs have collapsed, and the groundwater tables have likewise been under severe stress. One of the primary reservoirs has reportedly dropped to only a fraction of its capacity, capable of supplying water for only a few more weeks under existing conditions. News, as the Express Tribune. As a result, Tehran has already begun implementing emergency measures. Intermittent water cuts are occurring in different parts of the city, sometimes without notice, as officials attempt to conserve what little remains. Residents have reported reduced water pressure and unexpected service disruptions, affecting daily routines and hygiene practices. These measures, while perhaps inevitable, underline just how close the situation is to crossing a threshold into genuine crisis. Iran. Another element to consider is that this water emergency isn't happening in a vacuum. It is part of a broader pattern of environmental stress across Iran. Many provinces outside Tehran are also facing shrinking water resources, with legislators warning that drinking water shortages could soon afflict multiple regions within months if conditions don't improve. Even more sobering, some experts are now saying that parts of the Iranian Central Plateau could face depopulation if sustainable solutions are not implemented quickly. Iran Wire Arabic Halif Arabic Farsi Ye Arabic Drought Arabic Halif Arabic Noon Arabic Halif Arabic Farsi Ye Arabic Noon Arabic Thai Arabic Aut Arabic Noon Arabic Sheen Arabic Noon Arabic Halif Arabic Lam Iran International. The causes of this crisis are multi-layered. Climate change has undeniably played a significant role, shifting precipitation patterns, intensifying drought cycles, and exacerbating natural variability. But beyond climate, issues like long-term water mismanagement, over-reliance on groundwater extraction, inefficient agricultural usage, and infrastructural challenges have compounded the problem. Some observers argue that policy missteps over decades have left Iran poorly prepared to manage a resource that is inherently limited in arid and semi-arid environments. Wikipedia President Pezeshkian's warnings are thus as much political as they are environmental. By speaking openly about the possibility of evacuating Tehran, he is signaling that the situation has moved beyond routine planning into the realm of existential risk. That has sparked both domestic and international reactions. Within Iran, there's growing frustration among residents who face daily uncertainties about water availability. Critics have taken to various media platforms to debate the government's handling of the crisis, questioning whether earlier and more decisive actions could have mitigated the emergency. Some former officials have even dismissed evacuation talk as unrealistic or exaggerated, emphasizing the logistical impossibility of moving millions of people on short notice. Zero hedge. Calm, on the other hand, some experts and commentators have urged authorities to take the warnings seriously, arguing that downplaying the crisis and delaying transparent communication only undermines public trust and accurate risk assessment. A water expert cited in recent reports underscored that the level of warnings being publicly issued may still understate the severity of conditions on the ground. It's a delicate balance for governments between preventing panic and preparing populations for difficult realities. Newsgram, but let's step back and think about what such an evacuation might entail. Tehran is not just a population center, it's a complex urban ecosystem. It houses critical infrastructure for government, commerce, education, healthcare, transportation, and culture. Moving millions of people out of their homes and livelihoods due to water scarcity is not a simple task. It involves planning for relocation sites, ensuring access to food, medical care, employment, transportation, and basic human needs. It may require coordination between multiple levels of government and international aid organizations. It would also have psychological and social impacts that extend far beyond the borders of Iran itself. One crucial dimension often overlooked in global headlines is the human experience. Those residents waking up not knowing if water will come when they turn on a tap, families having to adjust water rationing schedules, businesses struggling to function with limited supply, and communities grappling with an uncertain future. These are not abstract statistics, these are real lives disrupted by circumstances that have spiraled beyond routine management. It's also worth noting that while Tehran's crisis has drawn international attention because of the dramatic evacuation warning, the water scarcity narrative reverberates across many regions in the Middle East. Countries across this part of the world are confronting prolonged drought, diminishing aquifers, and the implications of climate change with varying degrees of preparation and success. Tehran's situation, in some ways, serves as an urgent case study of what can happen when environmental limits are met with delayed structural adaptation. So what's next? Will rain come in time to avert the worst case scenario? Can rationing and emergency measures tide the city over through the worst of the dry season? Can long-term reforms, such as water recycling, efficiency improvements, and agricultural water use reduction, be accelerated to build resilience against future droughts? These are critical questions that remain open. Tehran's fate in the coming weeks and months will likely hinge on a combination of natural weather patterns and the effectiveness of policy responses. As citizens of a globally interconnected world, we should pay attention not just because it's dramatic or newsworthy, but because it reflects broader themes about sustainability, resource limitations, governance, and human adaptability. What happens in Tehran could well be a harbinger of the kinds of decisions and challenges other major cities might face if water scarcity continues to intensify under climate stress. In closing, the situation unfolding in Iran is complex and multifaceted. The president's warning that Tehran could face evacuation is not an empty threat. It reflects a moment where environmental realities crash head-on into social and political systems. It is a call to action, not just for Iran's leaders and citizens, but for policymakers around the world who must grapple with shared issues of climate impact, resource stewardship, and urban resilience. Thank you for listening to this detailed breakdown. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll continue to bring you updates as this situation evolves.